Now entering the Shark Tank is Dr. Alex Young, a PGY4 from Baylor University. He has an innovative idea for ROP screening using a cell phone.
The title is Easy ROP. Hi everybody, I'm Alex. It's a pleasure to be here from Houston. And I wanted to talk first about, let's say you are an ROP screener and you get an email with this image up here as an attachment and you think, hey, that's a nice photo. How did you obtain it? And I tell you, this was taken with a 20 diopter lens. Not bad. It's got the nerve, it's got the macula, the periphery. It really is a wide field, in fact 152 degrees wide. What if I told you that it was from a smartphone? And you say, wow, that's actually really good quality. But what if I told you a minimally trained photographer simply walked up to the patient, quickly placed the device on them, and took this picture through this pupil without dilation? This is exciting. This is really exciting. And you might think, hold on, what about simple smartphone fundus photography? You use a phone and a 20 diopter lens and you get this nice picture of plus disease, but you need an army to do it. And I counted 6 hands, feeling like there are too many fingers around this tiny baby's head. It also gets tedious to get in the right position over the crib, over the baby, and only gives you a maximum of 55 degrees of view. And this is with dilation. You might also say, what about the rep cam? Well, it's a little pricey and upkeep costs. What's not written in there is having trained repair personnel, especially for donated machines in a low resource setting, is an absolute challenge. In addition, image quality is a problem. Although good images give you about 85% sensitivity with the ret cam, once you have a poor image, which is in the experience of the operators in my own institution is actually quite common, causes the sensitivity to go down to unacceptable levels. And looking at just this picture here, you can see there is zone 1 disease inferiorly, but the vessel architecture where the question marks are isn't great. And there's literally a shadow over the macula because of the necessity of the optics. Why this happens helps us lead to an alternative solution. This occurs because of Goldstrands. Fathers of optics realized that the light path into the eye cannot be the same for the imaging path out. And so the illumination, as you can see in that green circle there, just like all our fundus images, needs to be by necessity around and away from the imaging light path. And that's why we need to dilate the eye. But what if your light source was elsewhere and your pupil was totally dedicated for your imaging path? Instead of the light delivery system being around the pupil, it's trans-scleral. And note here, your field of view increases significantly. Using an optical fiber that transmits a warm white LED light through the avascular pars plana, one can illuminate the eye like a lamp. And no one takes a lamp and puts it under a basket, but puts it on a stand and gives it light to the whole house. And now this technology has been done before. We're talking about legacy. The Panoret 1000, which produced amazing images in the early 2000s, had an unwieldy camera in one hand, the light source in the other, and a foot pedal to boot. And it made it great if you're a Ringo Starr, but it's hard for anyone less coordinated. It didn't do well successfully. These new ideas for illuminating trans-sclerally are a little bit cumbersome. So I think this technology is about putting the pieces together and integrating this basic science technology that's just been sitting around for decades and connecting it with the end user ergonomics with design principles. In other words, in learning from the failure of the challenging operation of the Panaret 1000, can we take this technology and make it easy for the end user? And I think we can. The solution is that the whole device has to be one integrated piece. And the movement for the operator is, I think, especially in the pediatric world, a contact lens with a quadrispheric lens that sits in the same housing device as the light probe fiber optic that fits over the pars plana. Not at all different from the CPC probe that you can see there. This is then housed onto a smartphone, and the laser goes to a clip-on battery and LED generator. And with one easy contact, you could potentially put it on an infant's eye all in one piece. Right now, putting this together is an idea ripe for proof of concept. But what trans-scleral illumination offers with non-mydriatic, low-cost, high-quality method for teleimaging for ROP, this can make screening more accessible in remote and underserved locations. And I'm really excited about its potential. I think somebody once said that in every doctor's brain there's an idea. And it's all about making it a reality. Thinking about this idea, I'm definitely on the excitement phase. I'm not ready to go down. But what I realize is thinking about all of the fun and challenging struggles and hurdles to develop a process like this, to make it easy for the end user and to have a good results, it's all about the sacrifice that's put in by the innovator. It's not just about it taking it, and I really actually think of Jesus taking on the sacrifice to make it easy for us to love him. It wasn't the other way around. And so thank you to you all for listening to this and cultivating a culture of ambition for God's glory. Thank you.
Wow. I've tried every one of those gadgets that you've already mentioned, and I know Danielle, who did his thesis on ROP, is all excited about this. But just so you know the impact that this may have, in the Dominican Republic, before we had screening for ROP, the School for the Blind was just filled every year with 400 new blind children with ROP. And the reason was that we were rescuing those babies because we had very good neonatal services, and therefore they were surviving. But the obstetricians and the pediatricians had no idea that there was this disease called ROP that could blind them. I mean, we would get them at 6 months of age, and it was too late. And finally, we had a program to change that attitude that was as important as the fact that we had to teach all the people how to do the indirect ophthalmoscopy. We have a kangaroo program and the like. So then we looked at the red cam to see if we could use it, but $100,000 is out of the question. I mean, the whole program, I think in 5 years, uses that amount of money. And something like this, I promise you, would revolutionize screening for ROP in the world. I promise you.
Great presentation. Question. So the contact lens that you talked about, is that, how do you sterilize that between patient eyes?
The contact lenses used now, you're right, sterility would be an issue, except that at the VA that I go to, the contact lenses are actually disposable. So one of the ideas is just having a new contact lens that's been put on. One of the challenges too is that if you have a permanent lens, if the inside surface of the lens that's housed inside the device gets dusty or dirty, then you start to have to talk about maintenance to try and clean it off. But if you use disposable, not only are they cheap, but you can avoid that problem.
Number one, keep that duende there. It's amazing, right? While you were going through your presentation, I was really wanting to know more and more and more. The way you beautifully presented is just brilliant. Couple of thoughts. Number one, you have a wonderful idea that you want to test. Number two, gather people around you who will be able to help you achieve that. Today in the world, you have this access to a very, very multidisciplinary, diverse team. If it's fine for you, go to hackathons where there's hardware in place, work with teams, quickly get your proof of concept out there into something that you can further kind of work on, right? And of course, when you go down the path of a hardware device, it is quite long in terms of certification, in terms of refinement, funding, and everything. I'm pretty sure God will provide you all of that in due course of time. As a matter of fact, next week I'm starting development of a digital system for ROP back home and also for the country at large. And I look forward to integrating your device when it's ready into that. God bless.
I'll see you there.
Yes. Congratulations.
Yeah, this is a great example of what we're looking for, is just taking something like a phone and transforming literally lives. And you know, one of the most frustrating things for all of us is when you go around the world and you see things that you could have fixed back home but are too late now to fix. And this gives us the potential to identify things that can maybe then develop a chain where we can actually do some treatment to prevent filling up these hospitals like Juan was talking about with kids that just can't see. I commend you. It's a great idea.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.